Welcome everyone, today I have a special build guide for Necromancer in Season 2. Now looking behind me, I'm fighting Doriel solo, and I want to demonstrate to you guys the potential and also damage Necromancer can deal against Doriel. Now this is not going to be the perfect replay of the battle because I'm only level 95, my glyphs are only level 15. But what I want to show you guys is, you can deal tons of damage to Doriel, and it's surprisingly high. So I have been testing the build, and you can see that we're doing tons of damage. Within like 5 to 10 seconds on phase 1, we took him down to 1/3 HP. So this build is definitely workable if you want to play Necromancer as a boss slayer and also a single target damage dealer. And during the replays, I didn't even get my rotation right. I actually wasted my ultimate on the bone shield, and I also wasted my blood mist, so I couldn't get, unstoppable. But yeah, you can definitely take Doriel down within 10 to 15 seconds as a Necromancer against him. And my friend on a high level account definitely shows that you can do this even faster. Now of course, during this fight I did not get anything special, and I do apologize for playing Doriel solo. It is much better to find some friends to play with him, because one key become available for 4 players. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the testing that this is doable. And at the end of the video, I'll show you guys the gears I've used for Doriel. Now just to give you guys a small teaser of what I've done for the video and also the build, I have been testing different weapons, different builds, different combinations. So this time I've been testing different weapons, and this time I have been testing using different skills. What happens when you have 50% more damage with darkness spells? And what happens when you try different combinations of spells and weapons? So I've been testing quite a bit for this build for the Necromancer, and I can say that those are some of the best ways and also best builds against most of the bosses and also almost all the content in the game as a Necromancer for the end game. Now coming over to my character, you can see I'm currently a level 95 Necromancer. I can definitely be much stronger if I had the rest of my 40 also Paragon, or 20 Paragon points, not 40, right? So, and also I have alternative items and also gears I want to go through with you guys. So this build will be broken down into several parts. I want to briefly talk to you guys about the build. The build will be available updated on Mobilityx. I'm calling this one the 300% more damage boss slayer, simply because the uses of the unique item, the Black River, after getting myself to a max roll Black River, I do believe this does tons of more damage than what I expected. And combined with the God Slayer Chrome, which allows me to do 60% more damage, I'm actually doing tons of damage against the boss. And yes, no joke, this is actually 300% if you multiply all the damage together, if you do the combination rotations correctly. Now during this video, I'll also be using some of my testing replays, which I'll attach to you guys at the end of the video as well, to show you guys what I've tested. So let's come over to the gears first. I want to show you guys the unique items I've been using on the Necromancer. The first one is the God Slayer, which allows you to have cooldown, maximal life, damage, crowd control, everything's good. And you will be able to constantly, stun enemies, and you can deal more damage against the boss. It's everything we wanted for the Necromancer, with the downside of having one less mobility aspects. So here we'll be able to stun enemies with corpse tendril, and also allows us to pull them together, which triggers the effect for the God Slayer to do tons of damage against elites, and also against the boss. Now the downside of not having the helmet is that you cannot have a utility spot. So my boots used to provide me with 25% movement speed when unstoppable, and now this is replaced with the blood mist triggers. And this is quite important for the build, so you need at least 1 free boots for this particular effect. Now the rest of the uniques, you go in with Hope from below, and this is a very important one because it gives you more damage on corpse explosion, and it's just generally good. This is the perfect unique item for your build for the corpse infinite mist. And over here I have decided to give Black River more testing, and surprisingly, previously I thought it was a little weaker because it took away a lot of corpses, and you do miss a lot of the lucky hit chance without a wand. You also miss out some of the other stats, and also one special legendary effect, right? But the Black River is by far the highest damage dealing weapon that we can use as a Necromancer. And the passives are very powerful, because our skills are based on the ability to have corpses. To have a base stats of 12% triggering corpses versus 24% healed flesh basically doubles your damage. So this passive alone doubles your damage. And together, because I'm getting a lot of lucky hit, I'm getting at least 35 or 34 something percent lucky hit with the barrier and the lucky hit chance. Together with all my lucky hit, I'm triggering corpses non-stop. And those corpses are doing tremendous damage with the explosion. And by consuming more corpses, it gives my finger a rest because I don't have to click so much. I could get corpse explosion to level 16 as well if I got a better roll on the amulet, but still very powerful using this particular weapon. All the passives are great. It gives you more damage on corpse explosion, it gives you more damage by consuming corpses, and it gives you more damage by having more corpses. Now the final unique item for this build is going to be X-Fast Sinking. Now this particular item gives cooldown reduction, lucky hit chance, all stats, damage over time, it's great. But one of the biggest highlights is going to be the lucky hit, which we have a 50% chance to trigger a massive burst of damage. And the damage of the same type, because we're dealing shadow and darkness damage, they should be the same type of damage. And all of the gears are builded and also tailored towards dealing more shadow damage, more blight damage, or not blight, more darkness damage. And I just want to show you the trigger of this item. So notice Doro is pretty much like 1/3 HP down. But now with the trigger of that particular ring, I can quickly bring Doro down into 1/3 of Doro's HP within 1 to 2 seconds because of the triggering of that particular ring. It gives me massive damage and it can also critical hit. So this is one of the ways for us to have a massive burst as a Necromancer against the boss. Now that we talk about unique items, the rest is pretty straightforward. We're going to get Disobedience from our armor. We're also going to get more barrier with Bonestorm. And here we have to have the Blood Mist triggers Corpse Explosion. As for the amulet, we're going for more damage when triggering the Shadow Black effect. And finally, we'll be converting our Bonestorm into the Darkness spell, and also providing ourselves with a constant critical run with additional damage over time to trigger more effects, like triggering the lower cooldowns and also more darkness spells. Now, I have been testing, and I'll tell you guys that I have been testing that what if I replace this ring over here with this ring. So here are the comparison. I can get away with not having the better movement speed, but I can deal 50% more damage with the double curse of Decrypt and also Iron Maiden. So here you can see the testing. So on the left hand side is 2 curses versus the right hand side with the basic attack. You can see that right away the damage is pretty similar because it's the same level of boss. But one thing is you are getting more cooldown resets on your Blood Mist on the using basic attack, which is something you're not getting. Because you're losing 1 active spell slot with both curses, you're doing similar damage. But the effect that triggers the lower cooldowns with the debuff of the Decryptify is not triggering as much. Because later on I'll show you guys, I have a massive 50% attack speed boost. And because of that, even though the damage is similar for both of the build, I'm doing more damage and also become invulnerable more with Blood Mist. And here, just to show you guys another demonstration, we're fighting a different boss using different combinations. You can see one we're going with Decrypt, the other one we're going with the basic attack. Initially, Decrypt did crit a few times, and that's why it did more damage. But eventually, with the lower cooldowns, we're able to catch up with the basic attack. And also basic attack give us a lot of better stats as well. So coming back to my game. Yeah, my friend was trying to message me. So coming back to the rings. Now after testing the rings, I also tested between the Wand and also the Black River. It does seem that the Black River is doing more damage. And I'll show you guys the testing right here as well. So here you can see the left, we're using Wand for more lucky hit chance. On the right, we're using the unique item Black River. And there is a clear disparity between the 2 items, even with a short boss fight within 10 seconds, right? So here you can see on the right hand side, we're doing about at least 30 or 50% more damage. And this will amplify even more using different items and fighting longer fights, because our damage will ramp up even quicker with damage over time. And on the left hand side, yes, we're getting more corpses, but we're not consuming them as fast. We're getting more lucky hit, but the base lucky hit chance is only 12% for more corpses. Over here it's 24%. So yeah, I did a lot of testing and I wanted to share with you guys. Probably went down to too much details, right? Now, everything else is pretty straightforward. And I am going with more lucky hit chance on my offhand. And you can use the Little Sword, but I have been running the blood boss, the level 85 boss that drops blood, the Little Sword. I've been running that over 40 times. I have not gotten my shield. And in the future, once I get the shield, I'll be tailored this build in the future to adjust a little bit with another unique item and to test it for you guys. Here I'm getting a lot of good stats on my offhand as well, which is really good. Now if you want to have a look at the gear stats, it's available on Mobilitics. I don't think I need to go into too much details, but do keep in mind, you don't need all the passive over here on the amulet. Those are good passives. You can have any form of damage reduction, any form of, utility, or just anything like increased armor, close damage reduction, shadow damage reduction, shadow damage over time. Anything works on the amulet as long as you get 1 to 2 of those. And here we're going for more damage as a boss slayer. Now briefly going through the skill trees. Again guys, you can see all my skills on mobilities, so I just focus on a few highlights. Our crucial piece is going to be Hued Flesh. This allows us to do way more damage. And yes, you can get Corpse Explosion to level 16 coming from the pants, the weapon, and also the amulet. I'm missing one on the amulet. I cannot roll into another one, it's too costly, and I'm out of materials. And finally, there are some adjustments I've made. So the first adjustment I've made is I have put in 2 points into the stun, which allows you to stagger the boss a little more, but you can go with one point, that is okay. I've also put in more points into increase attack speed. So previously I had 3 points over here to get more fortified, but against most of the bosses we're not really dying, right? So might as well get more attack speed to trigger more basic attacks and also more effects to deal more damage. Now the Paragon itself is very straightforward. I have tried to maximize and optimize a little bit because I'm only level 95. The Paragon tree on mobilities I provided for you guys will go to level 100. And yes, we're enjoying a lot of bonus damage, injury damage, and also damage while healthy. So this build is going to be very powerful against most of the bosses and most of the content. And one of the secret weapon or the secret ability I want to highlight to you guys, I think this is very underrated. You're gaining lucky hit chance, 20% chance to increase your attack speed by 49.3%. I can go even higher attack speed simply because if I slay any of the elite monsters, I gain 42% more attack speed. So this boost is perfect to gain tons of attack speed coming from my movement speed. And I can also, make ways of triggering my basic abilities, and this basic ability will gain tons of attack speed, triggers lower cooldowns, and also give us more corpses. Now because this is a lucky hit spell, if you guys remember earlier, I have tons of lucky hit, right? So my lucky hit is close to 45%. And because of that, I'm also getting a lot of more triggers of attack speed, which gives me tons of benefit. Now most of the advent passive powers are pretty straightforward. We're going to make enemies spread with petty curses, and here we're going to have increased damage over time. Over here we'll have lower cooldowns with our ultimate, and finally we'll be able to make enemies more vulnerable, and this allows us to do more damage. Now the sacrifices for the build are straightforward. You're going to get more shadow damage, here you're going to get more vulnerable damage, and also more damage with critical strike. If you find yourself to be a little not squishy, you can go for the bonus life, because ideally we're not really critting a lot. We're not building a corpse tendril like previously to crit a lot with this one. Now briefly going through the skill rotations against the boss and also against most of the fight. We'll have adjustment to show you guys what to do in nightmare dungeons. So against the boss, now start with the beginning. What you're going to notice is at the start your damage is not going to rank up, but as you stay in the fight for a few more seconds, the damage really gets exponential. So the first thing you want to do in the fight is you want to debuff the monster with Decrypt and also cast your Bone Storm. This allows you to start lowering the cooldowns of your active spells. And then you want to be casting Corpse Explosion to start off your initial damage over time, and this will trigger tons of corpses. After that, you'll be spamming different spells. I'm even spamming my Decrypt, which I don't really need to. I'm spamming Corpse Explosion, Corpse Tendril, and also Basic Attack at the same time. And this allows you to have damage reduction. This allows you to trigger more corpses and deals tons of damage if the boss just stays still. Yes, the biggest problem with the Doro is it won't stay still after a few seconds, and that's the optimal time for me to do damage. Notice that I was doing tons of damage and he's like, see you dude, going to the next phase. So yes, the combination is very powerful, especially when you save your Bone Storm to give yourself, more damage, and also save your Blood Mist to trigger the unstoppableness. Because what you're going to see here is the boss actually stunned me. It's the first time I actually got stunned by Doro. Because I was too reckless with the spells and I didn't have my Blood Mist to get rid of that. So I lost a window of 1 to 2 seconds to deal more damage and then push me back again. So while having Bone Storm and also Blood Mist, you can deal tons of damage. And after 1 to 2 seconds standing on top of the boss, you will be finishing it off very, very fast. Now finally, to give you guys some adjustment if you plan to use this build for Nightmare Dungeons. Firstly, if you find yourself to be doing too much damage and too squishy, you can take away the God Slayer onto the helmet. So this is going to be a normal helmet with bonus increase of total armor, with some cooldown reduction, some maximum life, or lucky hit chance with barriers. So the poison resistance is not the biggest deal. So notice my armor is like 8,000, this is like 6,000. So the pretty significant difference if you use a different helmet. And the second thing you can consider is, if you do put on the helmet, then you can use the boots for more mobility in the Nightmare dungeons. And finally, once I get myself on the Lit Wars War, I'll be testing another build for you guys for the end game for the Necromancers, but I still have not gotten the item. It's been like a week. It's even higher, lower rate than Uber unique items for me. So yes, hopefully you guys enjoy this build. Let me know what you think about the build in the comments below. If you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4.